Hey, welcome back. We are back in the office today filming. We've not been in here for a couple videos, so I thought it'd be nice to mix it up and to get back inside here. And I want to talk about a few things today. Briefly, this is kind of a follow-up video to one of my videos I made recently on this camera, the Leica Sl2s, which I adore. Even though I've considered selling it several times, I just can't bring myself to do it. I've had this camera for almost a year now, and that is the longest I've ever owned any camera, other than a couple film cameras that obviously aren't nearly as expensive. That doesn't hurt as much to sit on the shelf from time to time, but I've loved this camera. In my last video though, I had a ton of comments, people agreeing with the things that I said. A lot of people felt the same way I did about using it as opposed to other cameras, the Canon R3 specifically, the color science, just the way it feels in the hand, the EVF, like all those things I raved about, you all tend to agree, and I appreciate that. That makes me feel like we're on the same page, and that's refreshing. One thing though that someone asked, they pinned a comment and asked what I meant when I said that the autofocus was usable. So in short, what I mean by that is, like, if you're a photographer, it's fantastic. It hunts every now and then. If you have it in people or subject tracking mode, it gets confused sometimes on which subject that you want. That's easily remedied. You just go back over to tracking single point, and it follows and locks on, and that's the focus that I use primarily. For video, it's not as trusting as I would like for it to be. Is it bad? Absolutely not. Is it unusable? No. I've used it before, and I've had videos testing the autofocus. But I trust this camera more for that. This is the Fuji X-H2S. It's just one of those things I can get behind. I can touch what I want to focus and know it's in focus 99% of the time. The SL2S hunts a little bit, but it's still contrast-based autofocus. So when I say the autofocus is usable, that's what I mean. Like, it's not going to be on the same level as Canon or Sony, but I don't think that people who come into this system expect it to be. Not yet. I think those people are still in the Lumix lane. There's the people using the S5 Mark II, the S5 IIX, that really love the L-mount system, but needed a better autofocus. Maybe they're primarily video shooters. But for us hybrid shooters, it's fantastic. If you've never held one in your hand, I recommend going to the local Leica store and just picking one up. Like, it just feels so nice in the hand. It's heavy, but I've touched on all those things. I'm trying not to regurgitate all the stuff that I talked about prior. I just wanted to follow up on that for the viewer who had commented asking what I meant. That's what that means for me. But that will segue into the next thing I'd like to cover, and that is what I would like to see in the next rendition of this camera. So it's rumored that Leica will release the next version of this camera, probably the SL3, in March, or they're close to, in 2024. Things that I expect to see in this camera, whether that's true or not, are coming basically off of my Q3 video that I made and why I wouldn't buy one, because I want to see some of those features in this style, in this body instead, with the interchangeable lenses. Primarily the autofocus. We all know that Leica and Lumix work hand in hand. They share a lot of the same technology. The upgrade that Panasonic's using in the newer Lumix cameras is superior to the Leica, for sure. So I think that we will see the new version, the new upgrade in the autofocus for this system in 2024, and that's super exciting. That's one of the biggest complaints that some people have in this system. It's like, it's just slower. But I think people who really dig into the system really don't mind that. But it would be a nice upgrade for sure. Like, no one's going to complain about having another feature, right? The other thing I think that will probably happen will be some version of a flip screen. I don't know if that'll be a flip up screen, a flip out screen. I would be happy with either. Honestly, the way that I shoot this camera, I don't miss it. I love the EVF. I love to have this camera up to my eye. It's the only way I shoot it. I never shoot, you know, with the camera out. Like, that's just not how I work. But I don't work that way with any camera, unless I'm shooting video. Then sometimes I'll have, you know, be looking down, you know, 3 points of contact. And honestly, other than that, maybe we'll get the new battery that's in the Q3 into this system. It's more milliamps. And other than that, like, that's all I want, Leica. If you're watching this, send me one. I'll tell you how much I love it. That's the three things that I would love to see in 2024 for the Leica system and the SL line. They've made some really big improvements in the last years with the Q series, the M11. So I highly expect that that's what we're going to see really soon. And lastly, I just want to say thank you for being here 2023 was a blast for me. Made more videos this year than I ever have, and that wasn't a lot. This is not my primary focus. I'm a working photographer, videographer. My primary job, I work for a local university where I do photo video work for our med school. So this is kind of third on the list for me, and I love it though. So I want to make more of these things. So if there's things you want to see from me, things you want to hear about from my perspective, please let me know. I'd be happy to dive into whatever that might be for you. One other thing that I'm doing in 2024 to look for is I'm shooting my first short film. It's a personal project. I'm doing it solo. I've talked to a few people about it, but like no one really has seen my notes or my shot list or my rough cuts of the first like B-roll type stuff that I've put together as of filming this rather. So it really has been a solo project, a one-man team. My father passed away in August of last year, and this film is not about him, but in a lot of ways it's about the things that his passing brought up for me. We weren't close, but that doesn't mean, that he wasn't my dad, right? But then that just made me realize how we are lacking as a society to some degree. And I just want to share that experience. I think that other people can relate, and I hope that it connects with you all. So please look forward to that. I'm super excited, but just as nervous about making it and releasing it. I've never done anything like it. So give me a thumbs up or something to encourage me to make that and finish it, because I tend to get ahead of myself and make these things, start them, get the ball rolling, and then get real self-conscious about it and just like detour and just like derail myself and just never finish. So once again, thanks for being here in 2023. I wish you the happiest of holidays, however you celebrate, with your friends, your family. And I'm very excited to see you next year in 2024. Just thanks for being here. Later.